Dear friends, welcome to my video. In this video, I'll show you how to implement a fingerprint or biometric authentication in your Android app. So let's begin. As usual, I'll create a very simple layout and I'll just name it as my fingerprint authentication app. You can name it anything. Please note I am leaving the API level at 26. The APIs which we'll use in this video will be relevant for API 26. If you use the higher level like 28 and above, there are different APIs. There are slight changes. So please note accordingly. I'll show in the tutorial like what are the respective APIs for 28 and above. But over here we have put only 26. So we'll have to wait for a few minutes for this ID to set up. Once the ID is set up, this kind of window will come up in your Android Studio. So first we'll complete our layout very quickly. In layout again I'll try to keep it very simple. I'll just probably keep one text box to show the status, whether it's successful or error or whatever of our scanning the fingerprint. I'll just make it a little bigger. Yes. Okay. And I'll give it an ID as text view. Probably I will scroll down to the text area and I'll make the alignment of the text as center so that it comes in middle, and I will increase the size of text from 14 to say for example 24. Yeah, that's it. So over here it will come like yeah, whatever the status is of our fingerprint. And also I will change the default string or the default text from hello world to something else. So say for example result display. You can give it anything whatever you prefer. Okay, once done that, the other thing which we'll need is a button to start our this scanning. I can just put a scan here. And what else we'll need is probably I have to first give the constraints for this button, and I'll have to also give the on click method, but that will give later on. And also I'll put an image view to show the fingerprint. Image view is more important. And also what you can do is, in case you don't want a separate button or sorry, I have to first show you. If you don't want a separate button and separate text box, because most of the apps you would have seen they just put an image, and when you click that image it shows it up. So what you can do is you can also include a image button, but for clarity image button, and you can use on click method of this image button to do the operation. But for clarity I am having a separate image and a separate scan button over here to scan my fingerprint. So in image button I think right now I'm not getting that option. I wanted to have my specific project specific image. So first right, for the timing I'll just choose anything. And what I will do is I'll go to this download folder over here in the another resource folder, not download, sorry, drawable folder. And over here I will include or paste some of the images which I have included or got it beforehand. So I'll just right click over here and show in Explorer. So once this Explorer comes up, you just go to the drawable yeah, folder and paste the images. So in these images what I have done is I have taken the fingerprint images which we'll see in our Android just now. So what we can see over here is those images what we copy pasted has appeared over here. So to use the images instead of using the avatar, what I can do is at the rate of drawable image1. So image1 is nothing but, if you see now, it's a kind of like fingerprint shape. Image2 is nothing but that is in red color, and image3 is in green color. So we'll use all these three images in our tutorial, in this tutorial. Okay, so once done this, I think I'll have to give constraints to this particular image also, and then there are few warnings. I will have to include those warnings. So few hard text we have to create in the resource folder in the strings. So just click fix and it will do the task respectively. And content description, of course, you have to just click fix, and then you have to create a to-dos, or you can use if you want to do something different. So once done that, it will be creating all the resources in the strings folder inside this values over in this strings.xml folder or file. So once done that, we can just now jump to our Java code. And before we start or before we proceed, what I'll do is I'll first write the on click method for the scan button. So I can say scan button, or I should have public void because there won't be any return for this one. View. Yes, I'll go back quickly to my layout and give the on click method to this, that whenever this button is clicked, that particular callback method is called. So this should be an on click attribute here, and I'll just select this particular method what we defined there. You can also, the other option is you can of course define a listener and then call that a method from that listener. So that's another option. So before we proceed, we'll just quickly have our local variables for the widgets which we have defined in the layout. So one is the text view and the other is the image view, is what I think, image view. So I created these local variables, and then in the on create method what we can do is we can just put text view equal to find view by id r.id dot text view should be yes. So this gets associated to my text box over here. In parallel, I'll do one thing. I'll just run this app in an emulator so that we can see the layout side by side. So in the meantime, I'll just keep completing my code. So on running it in an emulator, I can see there is an error it's giving. So what it says is capital I is not a valid file resource. Is not a valid resource. So what it does is file based resources name should only contain lower case. So the capital case of I is not allowed. So what I will do is I will just quickly go back to my folder drawable and rename all these files. Instead of capital I will just put a small I over here. Yes, perfect. I think I by mistake clicked it twice. So I'll just rename it to small I. Yes. So once I have done all my file names, I have renamed my file names. I'll go back to my Android here, and probably the image which we selected was, we'll have to rename it to a small I over here because there is no file with capital. It's case sensitive, so please note. So once we renamed this image has reappeared, and we can rerun it in our emulator, and we'll go back to our Java code and find view by id r.id.ImageView this time. Yes. So we'll wait for our or probably in parallel let it complete. So once this is successfully completed, it will the emulator will come up. So I'll just restore it so that we can see side by side our emulator and the code. So right now what we are doing is we have got all the widgets for this particular text view and the image in our local variables here. I was expecting that image should also have come up, but I can't see it. Probably I'll rerun it once more, so that because over here I can see this image, so I was expecting this image should also have appeared here. I'm not sure why it's not coming up. So let's hope this time we can see that image. So we can't see. Let's complete our code, Java code, and then we'll see why that image is not coming up. So apart from this, we will need few more local variables. One is our fingerprint manager. So fingerprint manager, as you can see, it shows as with a deprecated line. So that's what I was trying to say. It has deprecated from I think API level 28 or 29. But since we are using API level 26 in our project over here, so that you can check by going to the Gradle in the app level Gradle file, and the minimum SDK level which we are using is 26, so it will work for you. But if you are using 28 and above, I will suggest instead of using fingerprint, you should use something called biometric manager. I think let me see if Let me just quickly get that private. I think it's, yeah, it's biometric manager. You should use this, but since we are using 26th level, we'll use fingerprint manager. So more or less the syntax remains same between fingerprint manager and biometric manager. There is only slight difference, but you should take care of that based on your API level for which you are doing the programming. So the other variable which we'll need is fingerprint manager dot authentication callback. Yeah, so this is the callback which we'll need for our or to do any processing in our app. So once we have defined these variables, then we can start putting the logic. So first and foremost, what we'll have to do is we have to initialize our fingerprint manager. So that we can do by getting the service, get system service, and the service which we need is fingerprint manager or fingerprint service, and we may have to typecast it. So you just press Alt Enter, and it will give you the option to typecast it to the respective fingerprint manager automatically. So once you have done this, the other thing which we need is we have to assign or initialize this authentication callback. So in authentication callback, you can just have new fingerprint authentication callback. Yeah, first one, and over here it will give you the options to choose from the methods which you want to implement. Probably I will suggest implement all the 4 methods, because I'll show you at least in this video to implement all these 4 methods. And why this all are cross, as I told, because these methods have been deprecated from API level 28 and above. That's why these all are cross, but you can still use it if you are doing the programming for lower versions of your API level. So once you click, you will see all the 4 methods are defined, at least the basic framework has been defined, and then we can use this code to do the respective job what we want to achieve over here. So the methods what we can see is, one is the when the authentication is of error. So in that case, probably what we can use is we can set the text view, set text, and we can just mention error over here. So similarly for when it's help, then what we can do is we can set text view dot set text, and we can put help here. So whatever we are typing here, it will get displayed in this particular text view over here. So similarly, what we'll do is we will use for text view dot set text, and this one will be I think success. So we'll just put success. So this is the one when there is a successful when your phone reads the fingerprint successfully, then successful will be written, and whatever you want to do the operation, you can do it here. So main logic should go here, but for simplicity in this tutorial, I'll just print successful over here. Set text text, and this will be on authentication failed. So this is failed. Okay, so many people do get confused between failed and error. So what will happen is, fail is when it's not working for certain reason, and once it fails, it won't retry. Whereas when it comes error, it means there is some problem with the fingerprint and you can retry. So it will give you an option to keep retrying. I think 4 or 5 times. It depends upon your phone settings. Certain phone let's try our 4 to 5 times. Okay, and once of course is successful, then it's done. Okay, so once done this, what else we can do is we can also set our image view. So the image view, although it's not appearing over here, but the image view which we have received over here. So when it's error, so what we can do is image view dot set image resource, and here if you remember, we have r dot drawable dot image. So we have 3 images. So for error and fail, we will use image 2, whereas for help also probably for help we can use image 1. That means it's not even being used till now. So image view dot set image resource, and over here r dot drawable as we did above. So here we will use probably image 1, because for help, that means user is asking for help and it's not checking anything. The other thing which we'll need is when it's successful, then what we can do is we can go for the third image, which is nothing but the green color image. So image third, and otherwise on authentication failed, what we can do is we can set it back to dot drawable dot image 2. Yeah. So I think more or less our logic is done. So whenever the authentication error, you can do whatever you want to do over here, for help here, for success here, and for failure here. Now last thing which we have to do is, for whenever the scan button is pressed, we have to initiate or trigger the authentication. So that we can do using our fingerprint manager dot authenticate. So the first option, and the arguments which it needs is something crypto, so that we can put null. Second argument can also be put null, which is nothing but cancel flag. The third one is the flag, so that we can put 0. I won't get into the details, but I'll recommend that you should read about different arguments and the options and suggest what are the uses of that. You can just go to the Android developer website and it will give you the details about this different arguments for this method. And the last option is also null we can put. Yeah. So once done this, I think more or less our code is done, but there is some error. So let's just hover over it and see what is the error. So it says missing permission required by fingerprint. This is so what we need is, we need either the use biometric or use fingerprint permission in our manifest file, which we have not defined. So either you can go and manually define it there, or you can just check it over, click on this bulb, and you can use either of the option. I suggest you go for fingerprint option because we are doing it for API level 26. So I'll click this and it will automatically define in my, okay, this null has only one L, so I should do it double. So it will automatically define the permission in the manifest file. We can just quickly have a look here. So if you see, this particular line is added because of what we clicked over there. So more or less our code is done. I'll just rerun it once again. Of course, we won't be able to scan in our emulator because in emulator we don't have fingerprint scanner. I think there is some steps, but I have not configured that. I'll transfer this code into my real phone and try it out very quickly whether it works or not. So in parallel, I'll also do a build APK so that I get the APK file, and I'll wait for the APK file to get ready. Now it's there, so I just click on locate, and in parallel I'll also connect my mobile phone to this computer. So I connected my phone to this laptop and then transfer this APK file. You can do this transfer using your data cable or WhatsApp or whatever means you want, or over internet or via some network. Once you transfer, just install it on your phone. I did the installation and it works perfectly fine. When you click on scan button and it shows if it's successful, it shows successful, and it gives that green icon on the image folder. So over here it shows green. One thing which I am missing is, by default on the starting, I was expecting that it should have shown this the gray color, the image one, which is not showing up. So for that, what we can try it out is in the onCreate method itself, we can just set the image resource as r.drawable.image1, and I think it will fix the problem. Yeah. So what will happen in this case is, by default in our layout it will show that gray colored image one, but whenever it's successful our scanning, it will show probably if it's failed it shows red, and if it's successful it will show green, the image 2 and image 3. So let it come up. See, this is what I was expecting, this kind of yeah, gray color, and when I click on this button, of course there is nothing, so it shows this kind of red error because this is error. Of course successful I won't be able to test on this emulator because the fingerprint scanner is not configured, not set. So that's all I wanted to show, that the steps are very simple. You have to just define a fingerprint manager and the fingerprint authentication callback, and on the whether it's error, help, or successful or failure, you can do respective whatever you want to do, whether you want to log in, whether you want to allow certain access to the certain parts of your app, or login details, or certain things you can do. And to invoke this authentication, you have to just call fingerprint manager authenticate, and there are few arguments you can do it. I'll just repeat, you have to use fingerprint manager only if you are using the previous versions of API level 26 or 25, 24. If you are using 28 and above, you have to switch to something called biometric manager, which the syntax is almost similar, same concept remains same. The only thing is there is few changes with respect to APIs. So that's all I wanted to show you. I will put all the complete code and the results of the screenshot of the app which I ran on my actual phone on my website programmerworld.com. I'll put the link of the web page of this tutorial in my comment section, so please refer to the code or the screenshot of the results on my website. If you like this video, or if you have any comments or suggestions, please put in the comment section of this video. And if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye.